everybody. How you doing? This is Mindalia TV English live streaming where we exchange some great ideas. I'm Dan Blanchard, and I got with me none other but Joe Battista today. Let me tell you about this guy real quick before he comes on to share some wisdom and insight with you. Joe Battista, just for ha-has, I've known him for a little while, but just for ha-has, I went and I Wikipedia him. I should say just Googled him, and guess what popped up? He's got a Wikipedia page. Who the heck has a Wikipedia page? How do you get one of those? I don't have one of those. I punched my name in to see what would come up. No Wikipedia page for me, but Joe had one. So I can't wait to find out how he got that page along with everything else he knows. So just a little more background before Joe kicks in, all right? So he's a man. He's a man that is a man's man, I would say, all right? This guy has been coaching sports for like over 30 years. Yeah, and we're talking big time sports. He had like over 512 wins. 6 national titles. Who does that? Right? That's amazing. All right. He's got into like the American Collegiate Hockey Association Hall of Fame. Right? He's in the Pennsylvania Sports Hall of Fame. He's in the Penn State Hockey Hall of Fame, the Penn Hills Hall of Fame, and probably a few others that I don't know about. Right? During his administrative time at Penn State, Joe was like one of the guys that tracked down and got like one of the largest donations of all time. I think it was something like $88 million or something like that. It gave Penn State hockey like a real legit chance to be a real like contender, national level one contender. You know what I'm saying? He just did some great stuff, and he eventually ends up with this the Buffalo Sabres. Imagine that, bro. This guy just keeps going on and on and on. Then he starts his own business, right? And Pragmatic Passions. Joe's a motivational speaker. He's a consultant. He's a author of a book called The Power of Pragmatic Passion. And I'm sure the list just goes on and on and on by my old buddy Joe here. So, Joe, welcome to the show.
And thank you for having me. This is awesome. I love your energy.
Yeah, right. Thanks, man. You've done so many things that I think you must be like 120 years old or something like that to have done all those things. I don't get to meet a lot of people like you. So, who's done so many things. I mean, people would be happy to win one national title, and you won 6. That's just mind blowing. But before we jump into everything and you telling people more about, I mean, what do you got to do to get a Wikipedia page?
Well, I was as surprised as you are when it first appeared. I think it was because I was an executive with the National Hockey League team, and I think that came through the NHL, and then people did some background work on me and found out that I was a legend in my own mind, and it's it's pretty cool that it's there, but though I certainly am humbled by it. I don't see myself as any kind of a big deal. Certainly my children don't think I'm any kind of a big deal, other than when I can get them hockey tickets and football tickets to certain games. Then I'm a big deal.
Yeah, that works out good. I'm the same way. My kids don't think anything about me being a big deal, and like their friends do. Like their friends say things like, hey, is your dad famous? They say things like that to my kids. My kids are like, no.
My kids say I'm infamous.
Yeah, infamous. That's what it is, right? So now, Joe, I know I said a whole bunch of things about you. I don't know if you want to fill the gap in a little bit and give our Mindalia TV audience maybe like a little quick rundown of like who you are, what you're about.
No, I'll tell you what. I've been involved in sports my whole life. My father played minor pro baseball, coached baseball for most of his life, but I never had any idea that I was going to become a hockey coach, let alone play ice hockey. Coming from Pittsburgh in the '60s and '70s, I mean, everybody was playing baseball and football and basketball and wrestling. There are very few people who were playing hockey. And fast forward now, obviously with the Pittsburgh Penguins success and winning 5 Stanley Cups, Pittsburgh's a hockey town now. And but back then, I was very naive about where I could and couldn't with my hockey career. I ended up playing at Penn State University for the club program. But it was also an opportunity to get a great education. I started off as a nuclear engineering major. That didn't work out, and I switched over into the business school and ended up working, ironically, for the Pittsburgh Penguins. That was my first job right out of college, and all my friends thought, I had the greatest job in the world, and
Oh, I bet.
I was selling season tickets and corporate sponsorships and in public relations, and I became the director of amateur hockey development, and it was a
Wow.
blast. And while I was doing that on the side, I was coaching the junior Penguins, an all-star high school team, and that's when I got bit by the coaching bug. Fast forward a couple of years, I decided to give that a shot. I went to Kent State University as a grad assistant, coached at
Yep.
Culver Military Academy, an outstanding prep school program out near Notre Dame in
Yep.
Indiana. And then they created the job for the hockey coach at Penn State, and I returned to my alma mater. And I coached for
Sweet.
19 years. We had a lot of success. I was blessed to have coached so many great young men.
Yeah.
It's amazing how successful so many of them have gone on to be. And, I'm glad I didn't screw them up, but it was, a
Love your
lot of
sense of
fun. And then
humor.
I became well, humility is an important part of being a leader, right? And
Yeah.
I
True.
didn't everybody talks about how many national championships did I win. I said, I didn't win any. The team won 6. I didn't score
Yeah.
any goals. I didn't make any saves. I didn't block any shots. I got
True.
to be the guy that to lead the orchestra, and it was an honor and a privilege to be able to
Yeah.
coach the young men that I did, and we were very, very successful.
Yeah.
Won 6
So
national championships, and actually at one point, Dan, we played in 10 straight national championship games. Didn't win them all, but that says just about as
it's a
much, about
total
the quality of
dominance.
our staff. I was surrounded by great players, great coaches,
Yep.
great
So
administrators,
yeah. So
academic
Joe,
support people.
yeah, I got a burning question that's on my
Sure.
mind. You're like this prolific coach, and then you jump in the business side of the game and all that, and you do very, very well there. But I mean, were you just as prolific as a player? I mean, were you a great player that became a great coach, or were you
I,
like
I
this
was
that?
I was a good player at the level that we played. I was a league all star, and I was captain of the team and MVP of the team. And
Wow,
so when I played college hockey, I had a very successful career. When I was in high school, I made the state all team and won a defensive MVP for the Dapper Dan All Star Classic that's held in Pittsburgh.
sweet.
And
Yep.
again, when I was 17, man, you call me that I wasn't going to play in the NHL. And I said, I was very naive. I didn't understand that a kid from Pittsburgh back in those days, they weren't coming to Pittsburgh for hockey players. And
No.
that's why the fact that I got to work both for the Pittsburgh Penguins and then at the tail end of my career with hockey, got to be vice president of the Buffalo Sabres. Just the fact that I got to be in the NHL 2 different times and then coached in college and was an assistant
Yep.
athletic director. We built the Pagula Ice Arena, which, I'm biased, but I think it's the nicest college hockey facility in the country.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the team's done very, very well. They sell almost every game. It's been a success no matter what metric you use. And we have Mr. Terry Pagul and his wife to thank for that. They're the owners of the Buffalo Bills and the Buffalo Sabres, but they actually gave a total. Their original gift was 88 million. They gave us an additional $14 for a total gift of $102 million, and that
Wow, that
built
is
the building
amazing.
and it endowed the scholarships for the team.
Yeah,
So
that is amazing, Joe. And to go
pretty
back, I
amazing.
mean, it sounds like you were like a really good hockey player, but it also sounds like in some ways, you not getting your dream gave you your destiny of being a
Yes.
prolific coach, being involved in the pros, on the business side, building this great network with amazing people. Um, it's gonna kind of sounds to like me. You didn't get your dream of being that player, but you got your destiny, no doubt about it.
Well, every day I drive by that arena, I have a great big smile on my face. And when you think about somebody that gets an opportunity to leave that kind of a legacy at their alma mater, it's pretty cool. And I said, I'm very blessed. I have so many people that, mentored me, coached me along the way.
Yep.
And I'm a big believer in that we all need coaches and mentors in our lives,
True.
and we have to be willing students, right? And
Yeah.
I didn't get it all right. I made so many mistakes along the way, Dan.
Oh, sure.
I ruffled my share of feathers
Mhm.
you know,
Yep.
during
Yep.
the
Oh,
journey, but it in the end, it all worked out. And in my book, I talk about dreaming big, keeping it real, and getting it done. That to me, that's what pragmatic passion in a nutshell is to me. You got to dream big. You got to
yeah.
have some audacious goals. You got to keep it real, which means you got to have a plan. You got to have the education, the skills, the
Yep.
knowledge. And then the place where most people fail is they don't execute. They don't get it done.
Yeah.
And to me,
Yep.
that's where having mentors and coaches in your life, and colleagues that are supportive, that's where it makes a difference. Because lots of great
Yep.
ideas out there, lots of big dreams, but for
Yep.
them to come true, ultimately you have to get it done.
Yeah, there's that whole knowing doing gap, right? You got to execute. You
Yep.
can't just say I know it. You actually got to do it. So I agree with you 100%, Joe, on that. I mean, how do you get these people to dream big? You get these people saying like I'm in a rut or whatever, or I'm just not feeling it or whatever. But if you the secret, you've got to dream big because that brings out the inner child in you, makes you like excited. You know what I'm saying? And then
Absolutely.
to have that network of like coaches, mentors, all that stuff to kind of point you in the right direction, pick you up when you fall, give you like a little insight. I mean, that's key of dreaming big and having some kind of support system, of coaches, mentors, whatever they are. I mean, how do you go about figuring something like that out? If you're feeling like a little stuck, a little depressed, a little like I'm not living up to what I know I could be doing, but I just don't know how to do
Right.
it. How do you go about dreaming big and getting like a mentor?
So I think it all starts with looking in the mirror and believing in the person. Even when we're at our darkest times, when feel like we've hit rock bottom, you got to look in the mirror and say to that person, hey, it's me and you against the world. When do
Mhm.
we attack? I
Oh,
you
I like that.
just you have to have a positive affirmation, because if you don't believe in yourself, it's going to be hard to get other people to believe in you. And
True.
you cannot be afraid to fail. I worry that in this age where, to use everybody else's description of it, we trophy out for everybody. Kids don't learn how to fail and pick themselves up. And if until you've faced adversity, it's hard to really learn what it takes to pick yourself up off the floor and keep
True.
going. And that's, to me, it goes back to lots of cliches about it: never give up, etc. If you get knocked down 9 times, get up 10. You
Yep.
just, you have to have that kind of attitude. And I think that's one of the reasons why athletics is so important in a lot of people's lives. And not just athletics, but music and art and theater and things like that, where you must put yourself out there in front of people. And there's going to be times you're going to be afraid that you're going to fail. So
Yeah.
what? That's the only way you get better.
Yeah.
You either win
Yeah.
or you learn. There's
That
no
dude,
such thing. Failure is just a temporary setback.
and
and
that
and I
whole thing
think that
builds
it's
so much confidence.
absolutely,
Builds
and
lots of
that's where having coaches, having mentors, and part of that is, the way I define the difference between a coach and a mentor is somebody that's either a friend, a family member, a colleague, that really is somebody you can confide in about just about anything. Coach typically is somebody you're actually paying in order to work on a specific skill. It might be public
Yep.
speaking. It might be math homework, a tutor. You're paying a tutor.
Yeah.
That's a coach.
Yeah.
Business executives have executive coaches. People have life coaches. I always get a kick out of it, Dan. When you think about it, from the time we're in kindergarten up through 12th grade, and then if you go on to get an advanced degree of some sort, you've got teachers, you've got coaches, you've got
Yeah.
instructors. And then all
Yep.
of a sudden we think we don't need them anymore. And I think the reality is most
Crazy.
of us do better when we have an accountability partner, right?
Yeah.
And
No
somebody
doubt.
that's kind of pushing us, right? And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
other thing I think it's important is you got to surround yourself with people that are going to challenge you to be better. I heard this on another podcast one time, that go to places where you're celebrated, not where you're tolerated. And I love that. I
Oh, that
think
is
that's
cool.
outstanding, right? You want to go to places where people are supportive. They're going to challenge you to be the best you can be. And, I always think about the toughest lessons most of us learn in life are, those are the ones that are the hardest, right? Those, their
Yeah. No
best
doubt.
lessons are the toughest, right?
Yep.
And that's true. That is one of the ultimate truths in life, is that
Yep.
you're going to learn from your toughest challenges. And that's why I think the earlier kids can put themselves in situations where they have to overcome adversity and learn that it's okay if you don't get it right first time. Keep trying, keep digging,
Yeah.
and you may not find your sweet spot right away. That's okay. Unfortunately, we live in this instantaneous world, right?
Yeah.
Instant gratification. People have to learn delayed gratification. They have to understand that
No
it may
doubt.
not happen. I got to Penn State in '78 thinking we were going to have a Division I varsity hockey program. It took 35 years till we got that dream. And even the first
Yeah.
discussion that we had with the Pagulas was in
Yep.
2005. The gift didn't happen until 2010,
Wow.
and
35 years
you know,
later, look at that program now. Amazing.
yes. Yeah, and that's, if you think about it, we were very close, and then in 2009, something totally out of our control happened. The Great Recession hit,
Oh,
and it
yeah.
was like, I'll be honest, I was very frustrated. I said, how cruel can the hockey gods be that we're this
Yeah.
close and it's not going to happen? And but it was something outside of our control, and so we said, all right, we're just going to have to be patient, keep
Yep.
working at it, keep building that relationship with Terry and Kim, which we did. And in 2010 they made the gift, and in 2013 the building was open and we were playing Division I hockey.
Cool. During those tough times like that, Joe, I find that many times I'll just ask myself, like, what's the worst thing that can happen here? And if I can live with the worst thing that's going to happen there, then I'm like,
Well,
all right, it's a new sense of confidence and strength. Now I'm just like, I just need a little patience now and just ride this
right.
out, because most likely the worst thing is not going to happen. And if
Yes.
it does happen, I can live with it. Okay. And that's okay. Because, like, I talk to my inner city students and I say, hey, you know what? Believe it or not, you guys got like an advantage over some of your more affluent peers in the suburbs. I said, because you guys have been like knocked down. Maybe the worst thing did happen
Yeah.
to you guys, where you got knocked down, you got kicked maybe when you were down. I go, but your wealthy peers in the suburbs that look like they have everything, maybe they don't, because the worst thing hasn't happened to them yet. So what's going to happen when their worst thing happens to them when they're young adults or adults? Are they going to know what to do? Probably not. I go,
Right.
but you guys will, because at an early age, the worst thing has happened to you. You've been
Right.
knocked down. You've been kicked when you've been down. You've been kicked again. Been knocked down again. You know what I'm saying? So this stuff, it's all good stuff.
See,
And the bottom line is,
they
you
just
can
need to
take it.
listen to you. Look at it. I mean, you have so much energy, and so you are a passioneer. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but you are a passioneer. And the reason I call this pragmatic passion is because it's your heart, the passion, and your head, the pragmatic part, right? You still need both.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
when you talk to it, that maybe feel like they're stuck in a rut, have hit rock bottom, part of it is you got to just take baby steps, right? You get to get out of that slump. You got to stick with the good habits. You go to sleep at the right time. You get up at the same time. You start off in the morning with a routine, and you just keep working. The best thing to do is to just keep going. There's a saying: when you're going through hell, just keep going. And
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 hoping the devil won't see you.
and you'll get out.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And so it's important, and that's why I think it really does. To me, self-awareness is so important. You have to know when it's time to reach out for help.
Yeah,
And there is a
true.
time when you got to seek professional help, right?
Yep,
And
yep,
the more confident you are in yourself, right, to do that, so it's going to help you get out of those ruts. It's going to
yep.
help you launch yourself into that person that you never thought you can be. We all have examples of kids that we saw when we were growing up in our neighborhoods or went to high school with, and you just looked at them and said, that kid's going to be a loser. They're just never going to amount to anything. And then, like you
Yeah,
said, they've already been through the tough stuff. They learn to pick themselves up. Next thing you know, they own their own business. They're raising a
yeah,
family. They're
yeah,
doing all the things that most of us would say is a successful, meaningful, purposeful, and joyful life. And
yep.
you can't always measure it just by the dollar signs and the material goods. To me, this still comes back to, what are we doing for other people? Are you a good
Yeah.
servant leader?
And I always tell my students and my athletes and just anybody who will listen to me, when you're not feeling it, it's probably because you're thinking about yourself instead of somebody else. Like, oh,
Right.
poor me, I'm not where I want to be yet in life. What's wrong with me? How come I just don't get it? How come I don't see the big picture or the big dream? How come I don't have the right network? I say, heck with that. You know what? Go help
Yeah.
somebody. Go be a volunteer coach. You know how to wrestle or play basketball? Go volunteer coach. Hockey? Go volunteer coach. Theater? Go volunteer coach. For free. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're going to be paid back many, many times over what you
Sure.
would have gotten, like with a simple paycheck. Go do it for free. Go out there and help somebody. And if you don't got any of those skills, help your neighbor carry your groceries into the house. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying? Go out there and help. And then next thing you know, you're going to be out of your funk.
Yeah, the law of serendipity. To me, it's the old saying that the harder I work, the luckier I get. Right, luck
Yeah,
does favor the prepared. If
no
and
doubt.
that's even when we got our gift from the Pagulas. A lot of people say, you just got lucky, and I said, well, we worked awfully hard to get that relationship to where it was. We had the plans. We did a feasibility study. It was the perfect intersection of the Pagulas love of hockey and their passion for Penn State, and then the fact that we were prepared, and that marriage was perfect. And now the whole community here, it's region, it's impacted hockey in the whole region and the state for that matter. And so it's been a lot of fun, but it wasn't easy. And I want to make sure
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that hard work is hard.
Heck yeah. No
And
doubt
that's
about
okay.
it.
You feel much better. That whenever you put the energy and the time into something and you do succeed, especially if you had a couple of false starts and hit some rut,
Yeah,
it makes a big difference when you finally do succeed. And
no doubt.
sometimes you got to pivot, right?
Yep.
But you have to have a plan. The plan is probably going to change, but you still got to start with a plan, right? And you
Yes.
have to have a little bit of an idea how you're going to get there. It's not usually a straight line, is it?
No.
You know,
Spider web.
it's usually you're going to have to go a couple of
Yeah.
different turns, and
Yeah.
you may
All
even have
over
to
the
go
place.
backwards a little bit. It's okay. And
Yeah.
I like to help young people, because I think this is the greatest time in the history of the world to be
Mm-hmm.
alive. I mean, when you listen to the news, you'd think that it's the worst time in the world. So to me, I
Yeah.
say shut the news off.
Yeah.
Don't even
True.
listen to it.
Yep.
Put on
Press
put
news.
on music that's inspirational. If you choose to listen to negative music that's going to depress you, Well, that's a conscious choice you're making.
Yeah.
Put on some affirmative music,
Yeah.
positive music, upbeat music. It's going to put you, it's going to release those endorphins,
Yeah.
get you that dopamine
Exactly.
trip and get moving. Right.
Put
And
Joe
so
Batista.
that's something that all of us control. Right. There
Yes.
you go.
Yeah. No doubt. So, like I said, put on Joe Batista. That'll get you pumped up. What so so Joe,
Wow.
you were so successful going through the traditional path of like coaching, playing as an athlete first, then coaching, and then in the big professional world, the business world. You've done all those things, and then you jump out of it. The college was you jump out of it, you start your own business, and you start speaking, and writing and becoming like an author. Why'd you take the leap to go into that world?
I have always dreamed of being both a teacher. I always felt that was part of my calling, was to help other people. And I've always wanted to be a professional speaker since the day I heard a gentleman named David Schwartz. He wrote a book back in the 50s called The Magic of Thinking Big. It is
Uh,
still one of the best self-help
yep,
books ever published.
yep.
And
I read it.
I got to hear speak. Yeah, I got to hear him speak in person, and he absolutely blew me away. And I saw how much he impacted me, and I thought, boy, how cool would that be to someday be able to do that same sort of thing? God blessed me with the gift of
Yep,
gab. He
yep,
gave me a lot of charisma. I'm not the
yep.
brightest bulb on the tree, but
Yeah,
that's okay. You wouldn't
it's
want me
all
to
good.
do brain surgery on you, even if I did stay at a Holiday Inn Express overnight.
I got to tell you, Joe. I got to tell you, Joe. Me and you are so like-minded. I've talked to you in the past. Things you've said, I just clicked with it. I'm like, I so get it. Things you're saying tonight, I'm like, yes. We kind of we're like we can almost finish each other's sentences.
Yes,
My guy was Tony Robbins in the '80s. When I
yes,
was reading his book and watching him speak, that just gave me the bug. What I'm saying, for professional speaking and all the things you're saying about, right, teaching the world how to just have a higher quality life, a
right.
better life, a more enjoyable life, a more successful life. Well, not so. Like I said, we're just so like-minded. We're like two peas in a pod.
Yeah,
Um,
and I love being around other passioneers. That's part of my personal vision statement, is that I want to help other people to be their best version of themselves. I want them to become pragmatic passioneers, and I want to hang out with other passioneers that want to
absolutely.
help other people to be
Yeah.
better. And I've said, the old exercise, what do you want your dash to say, when you were born and when you die? What do you want it to say
Yep.
on your tombstone? I just wanted to say he cared. If it says he cared,
Yes.
people would say that about me. Forget the championships that we won and working HS thing. I want them to say that was a guy that genuinely cared about people and tried to make everybody he came in touch with happier, better, challenged them more than they thought they could be. And if that's the legacy that I leave behind, then I'll have lived a joyful, meaningful, and purposeful life myself. And I
Yep.
just want to see other people do that, because we need that in this world. Well,
No doubt.
again, we're the push of a button away from people all over the world. And one of the things we got to get back to is civility. We got to get to the point
Yeah.
where we can disagree with other people without being disagreeable. And I
Yeah.
get disappointed
Yep.
in the leaders around the world who, it used to be a time when we respected our leaders.
Mm.
We had, and
Yeah.
now we just
Mhm.
take pot shots at everybody, regardless of whether you're liberal or conservative, doesn't matter. And all over the world, the reality is that we should treat each other better. It's
Yeah. No
okay to
doubt.
disagree with one another without being disagreeable. And to
Yep.
me, there's the C word, compromise. Whatever happened to that? Let's get together and let's figure out the right solution.
Yeah.
You
It
know,
didn't
it
used to be
does.
like this, right? It didn't used to
Yeah,
be like
well,
this. And I got to tell you, there's so many things you've said here today, Joe. We could have we could go back and rewind this and play it over slow and stop and have huge conversations at like maybe 15 different points you've made, because I so get what you're saying. And I want to just jump in and have like a 10-minute conversation on just that. Obviously, we'll have to do that maybe in
We'll
future
do that.
episodes.
We'll do that offline.
Yeah, we'll do that offline.
I'd love to. I'd love to.
Whatever. So I know we got to start wrapping up here pretty soon, Joe. So what is something that I haven't asked you yet, or something you're working on, maybe with your books or you're speaking or something that we could talk about?
Yeah, real quick. The book is The Power of Pragmatic Passion. It's 7 common sense principles for achieving personal and professional success. And the 7 principles, in order to try to make it easier for everybody, including me, to remember them, it spells out the word passion, purpose, attitude, sacrifice, servant leadership, inspiration, options, and nurture. Inspiration, that's the chapter where we have coaches and mentors. Options is developing better options to make informed choices. So it's all about decision making. And then the chapter on nurture is to grow yourself, never stop learning, and to help others grow. And so to me, the most important chapter is always going to be purpose. You got to start with, what are your core values? What do you stand for? And what is your purpose? What's your personal vision for your life? We do all kinds of things. We start off with a project, you plan A, B, C, D, E, but nobody asks kids in particular to think, what is the kind of life you'd like to lead? And if that's what it is, what's it going to take to get there? And let's be intentional about it. So that's why I wrote the book, to help young people and their parents to make better choices and decisions. I'm a big proponent, by the way, of the fact that not every kid has to go to college to be successful, and they certainly don't have to go at 18. They don't have to go at 18. They can, there's nothing wrong with working, taking a gap year, going into the military, going into social service, do something until you have a better feel for what it is you're really interested in and what you want to bring your passion to. And so what if you graduate when you're 26 years old instead of 22 years old?
Who cares?
It's better to me that you've figured it out. Don't model yourself. There's only one you. You're unique, so you can use people as a guide, but at the end of the day, your strengths are different than my strengths. And, we all have to figure out what those things are. The only caution that I give to young people is this idea of just doing what you love, going after your passion. Be careful, because if you do that and you can't get paid to do it, that's called a hobby. You still got to make money. You got to make a living. And so you still got to find, right. You got to be pragmatic about it. And that's the message. I do want you got to dream big, but you got to keep it real. And then you got to go get it done. And getting it done means, whether it means you got to get a tutor if you need help in math or science or English when you're in school, or you got to go find somebody to help you write a resume. When you're looking for a job, or you develop the skills in public speaking or better writing skills once you're in a job, then do it. Don't complain about it. Oh, I wish I was a better writer. Oh, I wish I was a better speaker. I wish I could, work harder. Get a coach, get a mentor, get both. So nobody did anything great by themselves.
That's true. Joe, you're a very wise man. And I see too often, kids just kind of going through the motion, sometimes even adults just going through the emotion. They need passion, saying, like, you're a very passionate man. I am too. They need to read your book on passion. So, Joe, where can they find your book, and where can they find you if they have questions and want to contact you?
Well, if you want to find me, just go to pragmaticpassion.com. You can email me at joe@pragmaticpassion.com. I'm on Twitter at Coach Joe Ba, Joeba, Coach Joe Ba. And then I'm on Facebook at Coach Joe Battista. And, please reach out to me. I'm available through my website. You can get it on Amazon. It's on audio, so you can get it on Audible or Google Play. It's on Kindle. And I'm not in this because I think I'm going to be a New York Times bestseller, that sort of thing. Sure, I hope to sell a lot of books, but because I want to positively impact as many young people and people that are in transitions, even retirees that are trying to figure out what's their encore career going to be, can learn something from the
Mm,
power of pragmatic passion.
absolutely. Joe, this was awesome talking to you tonight. Can't wait for us to talk a bunch more, let's say offline. I'm really looking forward to it. Mindalia TV fans, what a treat you had here today with Joe Battista. And good night, everybody. Or goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.